NPCs, non-player characters, they're the backbone of any good RPG, but I want to know, what is wrong with Oblivion's NPCs? I mean, they get stuck on doorways, they struggle to perform basic tasks, and they have some really terrible conversations.
They say that Oblivion gates have opened outside cities all across Tamriel. Gods preserve us. What?
So how did this happen? Where did Bethesda go so wrong that made these guys so bad? Well, today, not only are we going to learn what happened here, we're going to figure out how we can fix it. Oblivion's NPCs have developed a pretty bad reputation thanks to their ridiculous conversations and overall awkward nature, but these non-player characters are actually pretty impressive. Well, impressive for an NPC. You see, usually NPCs are built entirely around conditional programming, commonly referred to as an if-then statement. For example, if player attacks NPC, then NPC attacks player back. It's one of the most fundamental statements in programming that you can learn, but it can create some extremely complex behaviors. But this type of programming can start to feel really repetitive, especially if you're not doing anything, because then the NPCs will not do anything either. And that's why Bethesda wanted to do something different. They wanted a way for NPCs to not only live their lives as if they were a real person, but to also dynamically make choices that affected the world around them. And so for Oblivion, Bethesda developed their new NPC program, Radiant AI. Now, instead of waiting for the player to come along and interact with them, NPCs had their own schedules and goals, and they could interact with the world on their own in order to achieve those goals. Such as, when it's time to eat, an NPC will just decide where the closest source of food is and go there. However, this unscripted behavior did not really yield the results that the player nor Bethesda was expecting. Because apparently, when you tell an NPC to do whatever it wants, it's probably gonna do something illegal. Which is exactly what happened, and it led to a bunch of NPCs just stealing and killing everybody, which is not good. My favorite example of this is the skooma den that was murdering the local skooma dealer because they wanted his skooma.
Skooma? Oh, yeah!
However, not all these intrusive behaviors were crime-related. There was one case of a guy who went around and purchased all the armor in his town, leaving none for the player, which is kind of a dick move. All this insanity forced Bethesda into making a pretty tough decision, and that was to tone down the amount of freedom NPCs had in the game to make choices, which is why most of the time in the game, NPCs appear to not really be doing anything at all. They can still interact with the world, and they do still have their daily goals, they just can't act upon them as strongly as they could before. However, some of these negative behaviors do still happen within the game. For example, the character City Swimmer, instead of going to the local pub, will occasionally decide to pickpocket another NPC in order to obtain food. But pickpocketing is illegal. And if you do something illegal, the guards are gonna get you. Now for us, the players, we have a few options at hand. We could either
Pay the court a fine or serve your sentence.
But NPCs don't have those options, which means their only option is to be killed. And this is kind of the problem with the Radiant AI system, because that means that a character who is meant to be alive is now definitely not alive. For City Swimmer, it's not that big of a deal. All she does is provide training in the sneak skill, but there are a lot of characters, and some of them are pretty essential. For example, Big Head, who gives us the quest to find the Fork of Horripilation. Big Head loves forks, and he will often go out into the world looking for forks. And sometimes he'll steal those forks, which means the guards will then kill Big Head. And if Big Head is dead, then you can't do his quest. And that's too bad, because his quest is pretty great. Although, it's not all bad, because you do get to check out his gravestone, which is pretty great too.
Sad, sad Big Head.
But there is another downside to this as well, and that is that odds are you never saw any of this happen, because all these actions are happening whether you're there or not, which means most people will just assume that the game is broken, which isn't true. The game is working exactly as it was designed to. The problem is that it just wasn't designed to handle these situations responsibly. But there are solutions to this problem. For example, we could program it so that way no NPC ever does anything illegal, which would be extremely boring. Instead, how about we program a way for NPCs to go to jail for committing crimes? Not only would this prevent characters from dying to guards unnecessarily, but would also give more reason for the prisons to exist. You know, aside from a place for you to go to jail. I mean, look at all these empty cells. It's about time we put them to good use. Of course, if we really want to see the Radiant AI system at work, then the best place to look would be at the infamous NPC conversations.
You have to admit, this is a good place to live. Friendly folks, I think.
No doubt.
Go away, fool.
Okay, so obviously these conversations aren't very good. And that's something Bethesda seems to agree with, because when it was time for them to develop Skyrim, they eliminated this feature entirely. Instead of having an entire list of possible responses, the entire conversation is now pre-scripted. The only choice the AI has to make is when to have that conversation, which as far as I can tell, is pretty much all the time. And while this does technically solve the problem, it's kind of disappointing. I mean, we still want dynamic conversations because they're really cool. So we need a different solution. And a good place to start would be with the dialogue itself, because right now, they don't really sound like they care about the conversation.
You haven't seen my sons, have you? They went off into the forest to fight those monsters, and I'm worried about them.
That's so sad.
No doubt.
So sad indeed. So how about we diversify the dialogue just a little bit right here? Instead of Valis saying,
No doubt.
every single time, he could respond with something like, I just don't know what to do, except for, with better voice acting. But really the biggest issue is the timing.
Isn't Sirach an excellent healer? A good healer makes for a happy town, and Sirach almost seems like another Nord to me. Good day.
As you can probably tell, it's taken these guys way too long to reply. So shortening the time between each response would go a long way to making these conversations feel far more believable. Unfortunately, these changes won't perfectly fix the NPC dialogue, since there will always be mistakes in a system like this one, but it would be significantly better and less,
No doubt.
Okay, so we fixed NPC behavior and found some solutions for the dynamic conversations. Now let's look at really the biggest problem with NPCs, which is most of the time they're not really doing anything. The Radiant AI system is extremely impressive, but unfortunately, we barely ever get to see it in action. Usually what we see is NPCs just standing around, which is exactly what Bethesda was trying to prevent. But the solution to this problem isn't simple either. There are plenty of mods for this issue, and even Bethesda themselves have attempted to fix this in Skyrim and Fallout 4, but it still feels too scripted. I suppose we could increase the strength of the Radiant AI system, but then we would have the same problem that Bethesda had before. A ton of NPCs committing a ton of crime. Another solution might be to try to make the system more intelligent, so that way NPCs can find more creative ways to solve their problems without resorting to illegal behavior. But that would take a lot of time, and the technology just isn't quite there. A simpler solution might be just to add more subroutines to what NPCs can do on a daily basis. That way, if an NPC has nothing to do, a minor goal could activate, so that way they still have a task. These could be simple things such as visit the blacksmith or spectate in the arena. Of course, this has its own set of problems as well and adds a lot of additional work. Programmers have to program these functions, animators have to create new animations, voice actors have to record more dialogue, and quality assurance members have to test it for any new bugs. Really, when you consider the huge amount of work it would take to fix the Radiant AI system, it becomes obvious why Bethesda hasn't done it yet. But that doesn't mean it'll never happen, just not in Oblivion. In an interview with Gamefront, Todd Howard stated that the next evolution in RPGs is developing characters that feel as realistic as their environments. It's clear that Bethesda has not given up on Radiant AI, and we're in fact just waiting for technology powerful enough to create the system they had dreamed about all the way back in Elder Scrolls 4. So if you want to know about the future of Radiant AI, I would keep your eyes trained on the future of Bethesda. If you enjoyed this video, I recommend checking out the 5 worst quests in Oblivion. Also hit that subscribe button to stay tuned for more deep dives on video game mechanics, mostly in the Elder Scrolls. Goodbye. Man, I definitely don't remember Oblivion being this bad. So, how about we play something else, like, this? The game that almost bankrupted Bethesda. Yeah, I'm sure it's gonna be great.
Eli, thin-hearted blackguard, I should smite ye with but a gesture. Ouch, me arthritis.
The Elder Scrolls Battlespire, commonly considered the worst game Bethesda has ever made. But hey, that was like 22 years ago, and they have put out a lot of really bad stuff since then. So I guess it's about time we figure out how bad this game really is. But before we can begin, we have to create our character. And as you can see, all our favorite races are here to choose from. Yep, all 6 of them. Definitely nobody missing here.
Oh, no. Oh, no, 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 no.
Alright, so let's just pick our guy, and I think the Wood Elf is really calling to us. Usually I go with the Dark Elf, but I'm not a fan of this guy's stats. Like, what is this? 10th Thaumaturgy? I don't want that. No, the Wood Elf is clearly the way to go. Oh my god! That's how they made him? Where's his shirt? Where's his pants? Why is he so goddamn buff? It's making me feel a little self-conscious. You know, if this is what the men look like, I'm starting to wonder what the women look like. Oh my god, okay, this just got way too graphic for YouTube. So after picking our character, we get to set up their attributes, and this part is actually pretty cool. Not only can you decide the stats of your character, but you can even choose what spells you want to start the game with, and what equipment you want too. Or you could even give yourself limitations, like forbidding certain weapons from use. Oh no, I just found this cool axe, but I can't use it even though I only really just use bows anyway. So I'm so disappointed. Okay, so we're finally done making our character and it's time to play the game. And just like every game from the 90s, they don't really tell you a lot. What do? Pff, I don't know, maybe you go into this big blue light? No, that was the wrong thing. That was the wrong thing to do. All right, what do we have here? Oh, good. Reading. So after a lot of this, we start to understand what is happening at the Battle Spire. Apparently, this place has been invaded by the minions of Mehrunes Dagon. And if you don't know who that is, well, it's just the big red guy from Oblivion. And if you still don't know who that is, well, I don't know how to help you. All right, well, how about we try doing a spell? Wait, what? Hold on a second. The hand that is used to cast the spells is the same hand that is holding the sword? Brilliant. How's that sword staying there, I wonder? Also, what's wrong with your other hand? What are you using that one for? Actually, you know what? I don't want to know. So it seems like our only real goal is just to find a way out of the spire, which unfortunately seems like it's gonna be pretty difficult. Which, I mean, I guess makes sense. Otherwise, it'd be a pretty short game. You just be like, well, here I am at the Battle Spire, and oh no, I've been overrun with bad guys. I guess I'll just leave and roll credits. If only. As Elder Scrolls-y as this game does tend to feel, there is one big difference between Battlespire and any other Elder Scrolls game, and that is that there is no town hub for us to visit. Instead, the whole game is just one big dungeon. That also means, though, that there are very few friendly NPCs for us to interact with. However, the developers have made up for that downside by graciously allowing us to converse with all the monsters in the game, which, as you can imagine, makes for some delightful conversation. Amazing.
You're a smart manling. You bring me the void card, or you can't see the secret part.
Yeah, alright, I'll find your thing for you, you weird demon kid. But only as long as you help me out. Okay, but where's it supposed to be, though? I've killed everybody? I've looked all over the place. I can't find it anywhere. What do you want me to just start clicking on everything? Like, that's gonna... Oh. That's actually what you wanted me to do? You actually wanted me to just click on every goddamn geometrical shape I saw? What's wrong with you, Bethesda? By the way, from here on out, this kind of thing starts to happen a lot. You'll just be playing the game and you can't figure out what to do, but then it turns out that this waterfall, which clearly has no cave entrance of any kind, and definitely shouldn't be anything important, happens to have a secret entrance. Yeah, no, good job, Bethesda. It's a brilliant game design. You're doing a really great job here. Yeah, hello, mister. I like to make an order. Sir? Hello? I just want a burger. Well, there's a little bit of fries. Okay, that's it. I want to speak to your manager. Oh, no. I think he is the manager. This is honestly the most fun I've had in this game. And I'm stuck. Okay, so I just found out that there is a massive game-breaking bug at level 5. Which we are at right now, so what happens at this level is that every time the game restarts, it corrupts your save file, until eventually it doesn't work. Now the reason why that's a problem is because the game restarts itself every single time you die. So in other words, if you die too much, then your save file is destroyed. It's wonderful. But don't worry, because I have discovered an awesome trick to keep us alive, if you're an archer. Because if you pause the game after shooting an arrow, the enemy will stop, but your character will continue to knock the arrow. Now you're probably thinking that is a pretty good trick, but it gets even better because I found that you can shoot arrows while the game is paused. You can shoot arrows while the game is paused. Now, even though the arrows don't fly through the air while it is paused, as soon as you unpause the game, they shoot right into their target, which means you can stack up an infinite amount of arrows to instantly kill your enemy. And I have to say, that's a pretty good trick. Okay, so we've been stuck in level 5 for quite a long time now, and I've since learned that we need to find a few things if we're gonna get out of it. And supposedly, this old guy right here is gonna help us locate all of it.
What a relief ye be, human. Perhaps ye can be of assistance to old man Khmer. I have lost something, and I cannot find it.
Yeah, sure, I'll help you out as long as you help me out. I'm looking for some stuff. What'd you lose?
I've lost me thingy.
Okay, look, old man, I'm not gonna help you find your thingy. Wherever it is you misplaced it, that's where it's gonna stay.
No, not a thingy. Me spoon. I had a spoon once.
You want me to find a spoon? Well, now we're talking. I could totally get into a quest looking for a spoon. One time I was playing Oblivion, and I had to go look for a fork, and man, that quest was pretty good.
Spoon? What are you talking about? What do I want with a spoon?
That's it. I'm gonna kill him. After talking to the old man for a third time, he finally tells us what we need to know. Sort of. As to the location of items, he doesn't actually know where they are. But he does inform us that if we want to get out of the spire, we're gonna have to send Mehrunes Dagon back to Oblivion. And the only way to do that is to know his true name, which the old man here also does not know. Yeah, thanks for all the help, you friggin' glah. After finally collecting everything, we can move on to level 6, where we conveniently happen to come across a traitor's Daedra, who is willing to tell us Mehrunes Dagon's true name, so that way we can defeat him and escape this cursed place. Alright, Daedra, what is it?
Dagon's incantory neonymic is Jekeleho Debe Efehezepe.
Right. Yeah, no, I totally got that. It's, Jega Fleba Heba Bezeba. Yeah, no, I'll be fine. Alright, finally we're at the last level of the game. Bring it on. What have you got for me, Mehrunes Dagon?
Look upon me, mortal, and despair.
Really, a ghost? That's all you got, Mehrunes?
Prepare to meet your doom.
What? No, get out of here, you stupid ghost. By the way, you have no idea how long it took me to realize that this symbol right here means that I would hit my target if I shot my arrow. You may call me an idiot, and that would be true. After fighting through swaths of really weak ghosts, finally we have reached the chambers of the Daedric Prince himself.
At last.
It's over, Mehrunes Dagon. I have the Savior's hide, and I know your Neonim, your really weird name. Prepare to burn in hell.
Well, it is not so simple as that. Consider, fool. No mortal weapon ever forged has the power to sever my anchor to this realm.
Wait, hold on a sec. Are you telling me that I needed to find another special weapon as well? You son of a bitch. Yep, I hate this game. Okay, so apparently when we get to the last level, we were supposed to have realized that the area over there contains an absolutely imperative weapon that we need to beat the game. Oh yeah, Bethesda, that's totally reasonable. I mean, why wouldn't I realize that I just need to push this tree down and then hop across this ravine to kill these seemingly unimportant enemies who definitely should not have a goddamn required item? Okay, I'm back, Mehrunes. I am ready this time, and you are going down. Yeah! Oh my god. We did it! We defeated this game and sent Mehrunes Dagon straight back to hell. I have never been more proud of anything in my whole... It just quits itself. Seriously, I didn't do that. The game just shuts itself down when you beat the game. Unbelievable. Well, that game sucked, even more so than Elder Scrolls Redguard. I mean, at least that game was pretty playable. If you want to see the video I did on that game, make sure to click right here. Otherwise, watch something else.